Okay, so I'm never going to be able to change my voice on command, except sometimes, when I turn on the camera and, somebody like Christopher Isherwood comes through or um, Pindar the Reptilian Draco. I never know how it's going to go. I'm basically a clear channel for what I call the muse, and the muse writes the scripts that I talk about here, and I never know really what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I write a few things down on a sheet of paper, and I don't talk about them, or I do talk about them. I have a lot of books around my little office area, and sometimes my eyes flash on one of the books. And sometimes I talk about what the book says, and sometimes I don't. So it's always a mystery to me what's going to happen. And sometimes if the words stop, then what I do is I take off the hat and I turn it around. Is that going to change the words? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes this hat doesn't want to talk anymore. So the hats, I go through them to see. Okay, this is the Hey Jack hat, and nope, nothing from that hat. I've got so many hats. I went to Value Village over a number of occasions, and I stocked up on hats and t-shirts. Okay, this hat doesn't want to talk either. This hat does want to talk. This is a hat about a Mexican baseball team, and it says, if you're involved with, well, if you're a sports fanatic and they've canceled your major league sports, are you like going through YouTube looking to see if you can find highlights of old championship series, or how are you getting by? I mean, some people are diehard sports fans. They live for their sports teams, and they're just going through withdrawal. This is a Canadian beer hat, and oh, I've got a beer because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so I went to the liquor store, and I'm going to show you. I don't drink anymore, hardly ever. Like, so rare, but once in a blue moon. Okay, so here is my bag of bingo, and what I've got here is a bottle of Black Bush Irish whiskey for St. Patrick's Day. That's made in Ireland, and it's small print. I can't really say where it is. They started making it in 1608. And the other one that I got, I wanted a can of Guinness, draft Guinness in a can, and they were sold out. So what I got instead was Harp Lager, which is also made, it's made in Dublin, Ireland. And I forgot to put it in the fridge, and all things considered, I'm not going to drink either of those today. But I'll have them on hand. And then, when I saw Harp, I was kind of laughing because if you follow it all to the stories of what Harp, HAARP is, it's a technology that takes an enormous amount of power and beams it into the upper atmosphere known as the ionosphere, and from there it's used to do really strange things. It's reputed to be used for weather control. It's reputed to be used for causing earthquakes, and I'm going to add, it probably is being used as a method of hurting humans directly. I'm not sure exactly how, but all I know is vast amounts of energy are used, and if this was developed for the military, and pretty much everything is, somehow there's a military application, which means taking out people and taking out installations and those kinds of things. So that's what I want to talk about HARP. And, the original HARP was up in Alaska. It was a large facility, and then they said it was closed. But, the rumors on the street are that the HARP technology was miniaturized and it might be aboard ships, for example. If you think of the amount of scientific hours that have gone into these kinds of technologies, all for the purposes of it's all for the purposes of control. Control of resources, control of land, control of sea, control of people, control of money, control of industry, control, control, control. And who's the real people that need control? It's people who can't get what they want by asking people to give it to them for free. So they have got to use force to get what they want. And that is basically the human history. Groups of people who want to take things by force. And time again, we have enormous battles on the planet. And I was going to say who really wins, but I guess there's a different word for it. The word is stagnation. Stagnation, in other words, oh yes, we've got all these technological processes, progresses, if you want to call them. But the humans are not becoming wise. These humans that keep insisting on more money for military applications are not advancing. Generation after generation, they find the levers of power. And we're all connected. We're all connected. And these ones don't want to be connected. They want separation. What do I mean by connected? I mean, we are all connected in a holographic universe because we're all part of the hologram. So, we're all part of the same universe. But these ones don't want to recognize that they have a connection to all the other ones. Maybe they even know it, but they want to find a way to not have it in their reality. They want to be separate so they can be king or god of other people. That is the end of my video. I wish I had another answer because I keep expecting, a bona fide spiritual master to show up and put an end to it all using some kind of God power that I don't seem to have and I don't seem to be able to develop. And if I could develop it, am I worried that I'm going to be sucked into power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely? When you're in the middle of battle, you're basically calling on all of your resources to throw it against the enemy. Maybe I am susceptible. Maybe I am susceptible. Other humans use nuclear weapons on cities because they were in all-out war. What is the wisdom teaching of all this? The wisdom teaching of all this is leave room for another way. Leave room. And when you're being invaded by demonic entities day after day, when you're in the middle of it all, you're worn down, tired, and fatigued, and you just want to have some rest. It never comes. You call for whatever it takes to end the war. And that's what Harry S. Truman did. A long war, World War II. And the military planner said to Harry, you know, we've got these nuclear bombs, special project. Or our forecasts for American dead invading the Japanese homeland, unbelievable loss of life, casualties, unbelievable. And, you know, if Harry Truman was a triage kind of person and looked at the forecast for the number of dead, fewer dead with the nuclear weapons, is what we're told, than the invasion of the Japanese homeland. So what does he do? He drops the bombs. Now, there's some revisionist historians that say, I don't know. I suspect maybe it's not true, so they go looking around. How will we ever really know? Well, that history is written in this timeline, and Harry dropped the bombs. Maybe in another timeline, Harry didn't drop the bombs, and there was a conventional invasion of Japan at the end of World War II. Multiple timelines, multiple universes. But I'm in this universe right now, and in this universe, Imperial Japan was defeated. Without a doubt, the same kind of people who are running Imperial Japan are running the United States of America today. And trillions of dollars in defense. But it's not defense, is it? It's being used against the American people. Just today I saw chemtrails over my city, and I'm not even in America. What's the point of it all? Absolute power. People playing God. Apparently it's Earth history, and yet we have got changes because we know things are happening and the measurements are insignificant. When I looked today, I saw enormous numbers of people who are aware of these people who are playing games with us. The fat controllers, the cabal, the deep state. Now, some people expect Donald Trump is going to clean up the deep state through his QAnon connections. But somebody else sent me a meme that said, do you really expect the deep state to clean up the deep state? So I sit without knowing. I am in basically a cloud of unknowing, as are all of you, wondering Are we ever going to have an end to this day after day after day of garbage people hurting the rest of us? I told one sergeant who had been in the Vietnam War how much I respected him because he went into hell. And I said something to the effect of, now we know that the American soldiers and pretty much the Vietnamese soldiers and the Chinese soldiers in that conflict were acting on orders of these people that are all about using others as their henchmen to get what they want. And these people did their duty for their countries. And yet the people who sent them, a lot of them off to be killed or maimed or damaged in their minds, these people still have the levers of power. They're still considered, world leaders. Henry Kissinger, Dr. Henry Kissinger, for example, 97 years old, still around, one of the architects of those years. There's a number of other ones, old men, and then they have their proteges, the younger generations who follow in their footsteps. And then there's the ones who pay for it all, the billionaire classes, the captains of industry, especially military industrial complex and big pharma, bankers. We're not out of the woods with these ones. These ones are still around, and I'll report on them again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Don't lose hope. Why? Because that's why you're here. As I said yesterday in one of my videos, you're important. You as an individual are very important. And my videos are not to demoralize you. They're to remind you that the game is not up and the game's not over, and it requires your participation. Mostly you have to be awake and you have to look at all of the information that comes at you, and you have to make your own call. Are we in peace? Are we still in a spiritual war?